Fix It Tony here. Thanks for clicking on my video. So today I'm doing something a little bit different. I installed another mini split in my house. Our room on this side of the house gets hotter than most because the sun's on it, even with the RV here. Still a lot of sun on it. And then the winter, for whatever reason, because there's not a lot of afternoon sun, it gets the coldest room in the house. So I wanted to put a heat pump because I don't like running the whole air conditioning unit for the whole house, just to keep the master bedroom warm and cool. So I want to get a heat pump, and what a heat pump does with the AC unit is it can reverse. So basically what that means is it can be cold in the wintertime, and you can flip it over and it can be heat during the wintertime. So you can use it for both. And then these mini splits are super efficient. This is actually a SEER 20 unit, which is on the more efficient side, which means that you're going to heat and cool for dramatically less. Most outside units run between 15 and 16, maybe 17 at the best, and then you're heating and cooling the whole house. By putting mini splits, like I have one in the garage and I have one here, I can isolate where I'm heating and cooling, and especially at night when you're trying to sleep, you don't have to heat and cool a whole house. It's going to cut your energy costs down. These are the older units. They're putting them all on sale because the R32 these use, it's going to become illegal fairly soon here. So you can get a good deal on these, and that's where I come to the Yita Home, because I got a great deal on this. This is a heat pump. It's a 12K unit, which is efficient enough to heat and cool 750 square feet. The bedroom's much less than that. The bedroom, even with the bathroom, is probably around 500. So this is way more than I need. On top of that, I only paid $400 for this, and that was shipped with tax. Insanely cheap. And it is a do-it-yourself model. So you basically, there's some things that don't come with it. You can buy these feet. They'll be in the description. Those, for isolating the unit. You also don't get a power cord. It's like a flimsy one. I just used my old 10 gauge cord that I had left over, and I just put an end on it and went ahead and wired it in. The wiring's very, very simple. Instructions are very easy. You'd have, because it's only 110 volts, or 115 volt system, there's basically just your hot, your neutral, and your ground. And then they just screw into there. You just put this cover off, you screw them all into there. There's incoming line that hooks in with a controller line that turns on and off the compressor, and then the ground, the neutral, the power, the hot wire, and the same thing, this wire will hook into this. It's still sloppy right now because I haven't cleaned any of this up because I just completed it. But I wanted to go over kind of the do's and don'ts really quick. The number one don't is absolutely positively make sure you vacuum the system down to 1 bar, and you wait at least a half hour minimum. 60 minutes is if you can, to make sure you don't have a leak. And I tell you that because this system had a leak. Unfortunately, they had the coil coiled up and it seemed like it was fine, and it's covered by foam, so you can't really see it. But here's what was going on under that. These lines were kinked, and I didn't see that. And when I vacuumed it, it wouldn't hold a vacuum. So I kind of had to, unfortunately, kind of listen through to see where the problem was, and that's where I heard the hiss here. So I went ahead and cut the line open and found out that we had 2 kinked lines that one had a crack in it, one didn't, but they still had to be done. So went ahead and cut these and soldered them. If you don't know how to do this, you can use a compression kit with a flaring tool. Not that hard. I'll put those in the description too. There's like $12 for the compression fittings, and then to get a decent flaring tool is about $90. So 110 bucks. Good tool to have, especially if you're going to do 1 or more of these, because if you notice, we have some excess length. I only have 1 extra little loop, but if you have a lot of excess length, you can really cut this down to what you need if you have a flaring tool, which makes life easier. But I only have 1 extra little loop, so I'm not really worried about that. You want to make sure, like, I'll redo the foam. Hey, Nala, good girl. I'll redo the foam. Very, very important. The foam is covering the lines. You don't want them to be exposed. 1, they'll sweat when they're cold. That causes degradation. 2, they're not as efficient. So keep them foamed up. And then I use an all-weather UV resistant wrap. I think I have it sitting around here somewhere. But and you can find those at Home Depot or whatnot. You just want to make sure you keep it covered, because you don't want anything to end up deteriorating that foam and then causing a problem there. And you only have to make 1 hole. It's a 2.5-inch hole. You got to cut into your stucco and then push it through. And what I do is I spray a little spray foam in there, and then I seal it off once I'm done, which I haven't done yet. I just opened it up because I wanted to double check my connection there. But I will seal it off with silicone, and won't have an issue. And you can see what lines are in here. So you have a power cord controller line that goes to the box. You have your drain line, and you want to make sure when you're doing this that there's a little bit of an angle, because you want water that collects in your unit to go outside and not back into your unit or end up inside your wall. So you can see there's already water working its way down. Condensation is a byproduct of heating and air conditioning. So, and you can see you have the two lines. You have a high pressure line and a return line, but these reverse when you're using this as a heat pump. But I will go ahead and get this covered back up with foam and sealed back up when I complete this. I just wanted to do this video to kind of show you what you need to do. When you get a gauge, you know, if you have a friend with a gauge or you want to use a gauge, just make sure a couple of different things. You want to vacuum it down. You want to have a pump that has at least 3.5 CFM, and you want to run that pump on the system for a minimum of 20-30 minutes. And by doing that, you're just going to remove this line. You're going to see there's a Schrader valve in there. If you have there's a tool you can use to remove the Schrader valve while removing the vacuum and then reinstall it. Not needed. If you want to do it, great. Not a big deal. You can just hook it up and then you can watch your meter. And you just want to close off the line. Once you go to test it, meaning you vacuumed it all the way down to 1 bar negative, you want to close the line, because what will happen is this line will backfeed back to your pump. So if you don't close this line, you stop vacuuming, it will go down, but it's not going down because you're losing vacuum in the system. It's going down because it's back feeding through your pump. The other thing is you want to make sure these connections are all tight. And, you know, usually is the problem is when you buy one of these cheaper ones, these O-rings are terrible and they'll end up leaking. So you'll have a leak there too. So you want to isolate any leaks that you might have. And then you want to use a seal all. I think I have it in my tool chest here, but you can see it on there. When you do these compression fittings, those flarings aren't exactly the best in most cases, and you'll run into an issue. And let's see if I have it here. Yeah, I probably do. And I have it. Oh, there it is. So it's called a leak lock. Don't get this stuff on your hands. It's very, very difficult to get off your hands. So wear gloves if you're going to use it. But it is phenomenal. It works quickly. It'll seal those flarings. So you just want to wipe a little bit on just the mating surfaces, not inside the line, just the mating surfaces. And then you go ahead and crank it down just till it's nice and firm. You don't want to go crazy because it is copper. It will damage it. Also, you want to make sure you're not putting excess force on this T right here, because you can also break that. So just be really careful when you're doing that. And again, using power, I run to just a GCF outlet. You don't have to do that. You can use a box. It depends on what your application is, but it's easier for me because I already have an outlet that is protected out here. So I don't really need to have a separate box because I have breakers right here. So, and it runs right in here, and I run it into the 3-leg, or I can run it into my main 20 amps here for my RV service that I use for my rig here. Sorry, part of my mess. It is a mess back here right now. So far. So what do I think? This unit's working phenomenal outside, no issues. Just make sure you have enough space around it, keep it clean. And we'll go inside really quick and I'll show you the inside and how that works. So this is our inside unit, and as you can see, it looks like most of the mini splits. It actually looks like my Pioneer outside. You have your LED, and that can be turned off if you don't like it at night. It opens up. It can do a sweeping motion side to side or a sweeping up and down motion. It's sloppy right now. I haven't finished. Again, I wanted to show you before I completed this. This unit works pretty phenomenally. We got outside, the temperature coming out of this when it's cold is right around 35 degrees, 35 to 40 degrees, which is a well over 20 degree split. So, 20 degrees hotter, the air coming in is 20 degrees cooler coming out than it is going in. And that's really what optimally you want with an AC unit. So, so far great with this. You get a remote and you can switch between your heat pump, and you can turn on turbo mode, blows a little bit harder. It's actually pretty similar to my Pioneer, except it has kind of a cheaper remote. But for the money, this thing works great. I went ahead and released the Freon again. You just screw the two screws out, they're Allen heads all the way, and that will charge the system. Wait a few minutes, plug it in, start it up. You should be good to go. But again, absolutely positively make sure you don't have leaks. If you think you have a leak, do not release your gas. You have to either have a recharge, and also R32 is a little flammable, so you don't want that getting into your space, basically anywhere that it might get trapped. So just make sure you don't have leaks. Use the sealant on the compression fittings, and double check your line to make sure there's no kinks or cracks in it. So far, very happy with this. $400, you can't beat it. You get an air conditioner and a heat pump. It got this room to drop from 80 degrees all the way down to like, I don't know, I think it's 80 and it went all the way down to 62 within an hour. Crazy. And this is about 550 square feet. So the system works great. Longevity wise, we'll have to wait and see. I'm going to do another video on this if you guys request it, but for the money, this is an awesome unit. The only thing I'm having an issue with is the dongle that for the Wi-Fi is not working. I've contacted Yita Home. They're going to send me a new one, no questions asked, pretty fast, and they're also going to reimburse me for the repair to the line. So people say they don't have good customer service at Yita. So far, I've had great service. So if you guys want to go check them out, just always watch out. You can go to Slick Deals. Slick Deals usually has the coupon code, so you can go here and get an awesome deal on one of these units. Thanks again. Subscribe and share. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. I'm great about getting back to you guys. And if I see enough comments on here, I'll go ahead and make another follow-up. Thank you. Have a great day.